Welcome back. We've got about 6 weeks, no less, 5 weeks till we leave for our first race of 2023. That's going to be at Pittsburgh. I don't know what's it called, Pittsburgh International Raceway or something. Yeah, I don't know. We're not much closer than we were 2 weeks ago because nothing has gotten done in 2 weeks. So I'm here today for about 6 hours till I have to get back. It's a school night. I got to work tomorrow, but just trying to, get as much done as I can, hooked up. I'm going to redo a ground wire that I made last week with Patrick. Not happy with that. Try and do a little organization with some tools and stuff, but I kind of don't want to waste too much time doing that. And basically just sort of get on with hooking up wires and put the new fuel pump in the sending unit, and just did a quick 12 volt test on the pump. Pump works, so that's good. And so now it's just a matter of, getting a bunch of shit done. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I brought some other stuff. Yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna redo the fuse block. I have a waterproof marine grade fuse block. So I'm gonna get rid of that crappy AutoZone one I used just to sort of get things going. Looks terrible. Yeah, and then just gotta start running wires, that's it. So I'll try and, show you some stuff that I'm doing if it's exciting, but I'll just give you quick updates every once in a while. Figure out where I want to mount the instrument cluster. I still have to figure out on the ECU how to get a tach output. I have an idea. We're not going to use a idle air control valve on this because basically it's a race car and we don't care if it doesn't idle when it's cold. We'll just keep the throttle held open and we'll do it that way. And so maybe one of the output wires that Derek put in the harness, maybe I could use one of those idle air control valve output wires as the tach signal output. So I'm gonna have to make a call for that because I have no idea how to do that. And that's it. A couple things to do and we're ready to start the car and go racing. I took this old ground cable that Patrick and I made and I replaced it with, I don't know if you can see it, a much heavier duty, I think it's 1 gauge welding wire, and it goes through the transmission, through the starter, and then into the block. So we're getting a good ground from that. I'll just put this back in spare wire land. Oh, this is the harness for the instrument cluster. Get to that later. All right, I'm gonna try and swap out this marine grade fuse panel, fuse block for this thing. So I'm gonna take a picture so I can figure out where all the wires go. Then I gotta re-crimp ends onto these wires and then I'll be good for that. Gotta keep working. All right, here's a quick update. I have the new fuse block connected. This is the power for the system. Main power, I'm not committing yet to length, so I'm leaving everything long. Right now, we've got fuel bank 1, fuel bank 2, crank sensor, coil, fuel pump. I'm not sure where the crank sensor wire will go. I'm hoping to figure that one out. Fuel pump coil, and then fuel bank 2. I also hooked up the ground, so I used the ground that Patrick and I made. Connected it right to the other ground, which is right there. And so I'll be able to plug in all of these grounds, which you see here, all the black, to these 6 grounds here, and those will be great chassis grounds because they're going right from the chassis, big thick wire. And then there were a bunch of wires that we didn't label, or that I didn't label last time. So I went through and labeled all the pins for those because one of those is going to become the tach output. I just have to figure out how to connect that. So I'm just going to make a new connector for the crank sensor. I'll make a DT, a Deutsch connector out of that, a 3-pin, connect that, and then that'll be sort of the start of it. I'll start going through basically connecting all of these wires. I don't know where the fuel injector caps went, so I'm gonna have to order another set of 4 of those, which is really annoying. that's how it goes. That's all. Definitely not starting up, obviously, but we're getting closer. I'll make my first Deutsche connector now, so that's kind of cool. I just did my first Deutsche connector. It's hard to see inside there, but this is for the crank position sensor. You got the shielding cable, which is the bare cable, the VR Plus, which gives the signal to the ECU, and then the black, which is the crank position, which is the ground. Fuck, I don't remember. Whatever. I just tested these back to the plug, the DB37, and they all came up good. So I'm gonna make the other end of this, which is over here, which is because I couldn't find the correct plug cable, that is. So I'm just gonna make them. So basically, stick this guy in there, and that's it. And then I think I'm a little low. So you can take your device, and you can bring it up a little bit, bring the connector up. I think till it's flush with this. I'll try that. I'll see how that works on this next wire. Yeah, that looks good. Give it a little tug test. So you got 2 of these. Now I'll do the shielding cable. Tug, tug, tug. Everything's good. I don't know exactly if I've got the right wires, but I'm going black to black. And then for this, you take it, push these guys through here. So I got this. It seems like on these thin wires, it's hard to get these guys in. There we go. So now let's see if they all match up and if I did it right. So plug on top, black to black, white to yellow, and bare wire to bare wire. Oh shit, I didn't put the thing in. All right. The thing I forgot to put in was this little guy, which helps keep all the pins where they're supposed to be. And then you take the connector. Now, I think this also helps keep the silicone gasket on. Then you do this, and it gets on there. And now it's all connected. All right, crank position sensor plugged in. 3 out of 20 wires. It's 3 o'clock, I got an hour left. We'll see how much I can do. All right, so yeah, so that's it. The Deutsche connectors are pretty awesome. You just connect them up, push them through their little silicone things, and go to town. All right, I think you may notice there are less wires lying on the ground. That's because there's things like the throttle position sensor hooked up. We have crank position sensor hooked up. We've got the Megasquirt ground location done. We have the coolant temp sensor wire hooked up and the ground. And then we have the new ground for the body. So there's 4 grounds coming out of the Megasquirt. Those are all ground to a very good ground right to the chassis. So this marine grade fuse switch thing looks to be good. I have 1 wire that is incorrect right now, which is I have a hot wire coming from the fuse block for the throttle position sensor. I mistakenly made an error. This is actually supposed to be for the wideband O2 sensor, but we're making some progress. I identified all of the pin locations of all the extra wires, so we'll be able to figure out where that's going. And then basically I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 9 wires left to hook up. And then of course like fuel pump and some other stuff, but getting there. These Deutsche connectors are really dope. And gonna go raise the old girl up. All right, so that's locked in place so it won't fall down and crush anything. Doing good. I'm gonna start cleaning up. I gotta get out of here in like 15 minutes. So that is all that's happening today. Big steps, just started. I think the biggest, hardest thing for me was to figure out, well, it's not completely figured out, but right now it's just sort of trying to figure out where to cut some of these wires so that, you know, if I make a mistake, granted, I could always run another wire through the loom, which would be a huge pain in the ass. But I just don't want to cut anything too short. So I'm kind of leaving a little extra length. I haven't wrapped anything in any protective stuff yet. I got to get some of that small gauge stuff, but making progress. That's it for now. I don't know. Will it run at Pittsburgh? No idea. We'll see how much stuff the other guys get done. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.